Welcome to my dining room studio. I am going to be painting a page in my whimsy journal, which is a journal that I've been keeping for, it's unbelievable to say this, but I've actually been doing this for a year now, and I dedicate one page to a day, and it's just to jot down one memory from the day. Usually they hold some sort of magic, some sort of joy that I want to step back into the moment. I was really tired with the way that I was journaling, and it honestly was making me not journal because I was overwhelmed with trying to jot down every single detail of the day, and that just wasn't working for me. So I tried this new way where I jot down one thing from the day that was really special. Sometimes it's something that's very ordinary, but it holds some very special magic. And so I jot it down and then I add a watercolor. Many days the watercolor comes first, but it keeps me coming back. The watercolor keeps me coming back, and I'm able to keep these memories that I would have otherwise forgotten. Now, let me go back as to why the watercolor comes first, because there are two reasons. The first is that I was using Microns, which is a waterproof pen, which would allow me to journal first and then add the watercolor and not have my ink smudge, but I was killing my Micron tips. So I switched to a Tombow brush pen, and so that way I do the watercolor first and then layer my journaling on top. The second reason is that when I go to journal, there's already a little bit of magic waiting for me, so that usually inspires me. So that's the two reasons why I watercolor first. The journal that I'm using is a Fun to watercolor sketchbook. It's a square size, and it is the perfect size just to capture one moment, so that way I'm not overwhelmed by trying to fill the page. It has 48 pages, so I have 30 pages, 31 pages for the month, so one page per day. And then the extra pages I dedicate two to a front cover and a back cover. And then some of the pages throughout, I add some watercolor, and then I go back in and layer some photos, which is really fun to capture both my written reflection, watercolor, and then the photos. Since I do my journaling ahead of time, I usually have one of three themes that I go to. The one you're seeing here is a loose floral. This one is more of a sketch type loose floral, but I'll do loose florals. I'll also do abstract watercolor, which I've been really into lately, and then landscape. Since it is May, I've just been focusing on May flowers, so all these pages are florals. And the palette that I'm using is the 3-color limited palette I've been using for my 100-day project on abstract watercolor. It is yellow ochre, permanent red violet, and Payne's gray. And I've just been really loving that combination. I have also really been into creating in the margins because I was finding that I wasn't creating as much because I was waiting for that perfect time to create. And guess what? That perfect time was not coming. The days would go by and I would barely put paint to paper. So I started looking at my days and taking advantage of those little pockets of time that I was overlooking while my coffee is brewing, while dinner's in the oven. Lately, it's been a lot of that. While usually after I finish my workout, I'll put dinner in, and then I'll have my post-workout snack, and then I'll paint. Usually it's adding some watercolor to my whimsy journal, or adding watercolor to my planner pages, or sketching. Or I have been really also loving these, I think they're 4x6 cards on a paper pad, and I've been doing a lot of florals there. Also, like I mentioned earlier, working on my 100-day project on abstract watercolor. Usually I'll do 1 or 2 watercolor layers, and if time allows, I'll go back in and add a few more layers. A perfect example of waiting for the perfect time is actually working on these longer type videos to share to my channel, because I'm just looking, and when I started with that intention was 6 months ago. That feels like a month ago max. I don't know how it's been 6 months, but that's a perfect example of like I'm putting things off, waiting for that perfect time, and that perfect time is not coming. So that's why I'm putting this video together. It's probably going to be very messy. If you made it this far, wow, thank you. I don't even think I'm going to go back in and add the thumbnail, and I had to figure out the subtitles. I think YouTube does it. That's how out of practice and rusty I am. But I've been wanting to do this for a while now. I want to create videos that feel less like content and more like we're sitting down together to paint or journal or just ramble about life and the tiny details that make being alive feel magical again. And I think that's because this year I've been really intentionally trying to strengthen my voice, not just as an artist, but as a woman who's realizing she has more to say. The more I slow down and pay attention, the more I notice. I think for a long time, I moved through life so quickly that I stopped noticing those things. And when you stop noticing, life starts to feel smaller. But the more joy that I've allowed myself to cultivate, the more I've realized that there's actually so much worth talking about. Not in some huge life changing way, but in the quiet, everyday kind of joyful way. And I think a lot of us are starting for that right now. Not necessarily more productivity or louder motivation, but just reminders that life can still feel soft and meaningful and inspiring in the middle of ordinary days. So I want this space to become somewhere we can slow down together. A place where you can put on a video while you sketch or fold laundry or drink your coffee and hopefully leave feeling a little lighter, hopefully with a little inspiration and a little more connected to yourself. And maybe if you've been struggling to find your spark again, maybe these videos can help you start noticing your own little pockets of joy too. Because I really believe creativity starts there, not in perfection, not in having it all figured out, but in paying attention to what makes you feel alive. Thank you so much for joining me if you made it this far. Until next time, stay wild.